Have you ever felt like the harder you chase something, a goal, a dream, or even peace of mind, the further it drifts out of reach? This paradox, one of life's most confounding truths, often leaves us feeling frustrated and stuck. Yet, hidden within it lies a profound lesson. The more tightly we cling to a specific outcome, the more elusive it becomes. Zen and Buddhist teachings illuminate this truth, showing us that attachment can act as a barrier, blocking the very path to success. Picture this. You try to hold water in your hands. The tighter you grip, the faster it slips away. But if you relax your hands, cupping them gently, the water remains. Life flows in much the same way. Striving too hard, obsessing over results, often creates tension and resistance. But when we loosen our grip, when we let go of the need to control every outcome, we unlock a state of openness where possibilities flourish. But what does it truly mean to let go? Does it mean giving up? Or is it a deeper act of trust and surrender? Today, we'll journey into the transformative power of letting go, guided by timeless Buddhist wisdom. Through inspiring stories and practical insights, we'll uncover how surrendering to the process, not the outcome, is the key to peace, fulfillment, and success. The young monk and the waterfall. In the stillness of the forest, the young monk's days were consumed by a rigid routine. Each sunrise found him seated in deep meditation, his brow furrowed with concentration. He believed that enlightenment could only be earned through relentless effort, so he pushed himself harder with each session. However, the harder he tried, the more elusive peace became. His mind, like a restless bird, flitted from thought to thought, leaving him in a constant state of frustration. The waterfall nearby became his silent companion during these meditative attempts. Its rhythmic, soothing sound filled the air, a stark contrast to his inner turmoil. One afternoon, his gaze lingered on the water's flow. He noticed how the stream glided effortlessly over rocks, unhurried and unbothered by obstacles. Gravity guided its path, and yet, it reached its destination without struggle. The realization struck him. The water didn't achieve its purpose through force. So why was he determined to apply this newfound wisdom? The monk resolved to meditate with less strain. But as he Saturday, he found himself paradoxically forcing the act of letting go. His mind resisted, demanding results, and the cycle of frustration deepened. The very act of trying to release felt like grasping at air, intangible and futile. His master, observing his struggle, approached one evening. "Your efforts are admirable," the master began, "but misplaced. Imagine holding sand in your hand. Grip it tightly, and it slips through your fingers. Hold it lightly, and it stays. The same is true for your mind." This analogy resonated deeply with the monk. He realized his meditation was no longer about presence, but about achieving an outcome. The master's words became a pivotal moment. Enlightenment couldn't be forced. It required surrendering, not striving. The monk knew he had to learn the art of non-attachment to truly progress. The farmer and the rain. The farmer lived in a modest hut surrounded by barren fields. Every morning, he would wake early, gazing at the clear blue sky with longing eyes. The drought had stolen his hopes, leaving cracked earth and withered crops in its wake. Each day, he tried harder to summon the rain. He dug deeper trenches, burned incense, and performed fervent rituals. His prayers were desperate, his hands blistered, but the skies remained unyielding. His efforts consumed him, leaving little energy for anything else. He ignored the parched soil beneath his feet, focusing only on the rain that wouldn't come. His despair grew, and the once vibrant farmer became a shadow of himself. One fateful day, a sage wandered through the village. Observing the farmer's plight, the sage spoke calmly. "You exhaust yourself chasing what you cannot control. Rain will come when it must. Instead, tend to the soil that holds the promise of life." Though skeptical, the farmer decided to follow the sage's advice. He began to care for the neglected land, enriching it with compost, turning the dry soil, and planting resilient seeds. Slowly, his focus shifted from the unreachable sky to the ground beneath him. To his astonishment, the rains eventually came, transforming his barren fields into a lush, green oasis. Overjoyed but puzzled, the farmer sought the sage again. "Why did the rains come when I stopped praying for them?" he asked. The sage smiled knowingly. "When you release your grasp on what lies beyond your control, you create the conditions for miracles. The rains didn't come because you chased them. They came because you nurtured the soil and made it ready." The farmer, like the monk, learned a profound truth. Success is born not from force or obsession, but from patient care and trust in life's timing. The butterfly and the struggle. The monk had been sitting in quiet contemplation when his attention was drawn to a nearby bush. Amid the leaves, he noticed a small cocoon, trembling with movement. Inside, a butterfly was struggling to emerge. Its delicate wings pressed against the cocoon's walls, its tiny body twisting and turning, trying to break free. The sight stirred something within the monk, a deep sense of compassion. He felt the urge to help, to ease the butterfly's struggle and hasten its freedom. Reaching out, the monk's fingers moved toward the cocoon, ready to gently tear it open. But his master's voice stopped him mid-action. "Do not interfere," the master said firmly. "The butterfly's struggle is what prepares it for life. If you open the cocoon, it will emerge too weak to fly." Reluctantly, the monk withdrew his hand and observed. The butterfly's battle continued, each motion slow and labored. It was painful to watch, yet the master remained unmoved, silently teaching through his stillness. Finally, after what seemed like hours, the cocoon split open. The butterfly emerged, its wings crumpled but intact. As it rested, the wings expanded, growing vibrant and strong. Soon, it took flight, a living symbol of resilience. The monk's heart filled with understanding. He realized the butterfly's struggle was not a hindrance but a crucial part of its transformation. Without the challenge of breaking free, it would never develop the strength to soar. Reflecting on this, the monk saw a mirror of his own journey. His frustration in meditation was not a sign of failure, but a necessary struggle for growth. Like the butterfly, he needed patience and trust in the process. Enlightenment, he realized, was not something to be handed to him. It was something to be earned through the natural rhythm of effort and surrender. Lessons in non-attachment. The monk's journey toward non-attachment was not an immediate transformation but a gradual unfolding. He began with small, deliberate changes, allowing the wisdom of letting go to guide his actions. In his meditation practice, he shifted his focus from trying to reach a state of enlightenment to simply sitting and observing the present moment. No longer fighting his wandering thoughts, he noticed them and let them pass like clouds drifting across the sky. Initially, he doubted whether this approach would lead to any meaningful progress. The restless patterns of his mind remained, and his old habits of striving resurfaced from time to time. Yet, over the weeks, subtle but profound changes began to take root. His breath became naturally deeper, as if his body was finally at ease. The chaotic stream of his thoughts quieted, leaving behind a stillness he had never known. And within that stillness, he felt a lightness in his heart, a freedom that didn't depend on external circumstances. This newfound mindset began to extend into every aspect of his life. In the temple garden, he found himself no longer preoccupied with whether the seeds he planted would sprout or bloom. Instead, he immersed himself in the act of planting, savoring the cool soil beneath his hands and the rhythm of nature around him. The act itself became a source of joy, independent of the results. When teaching younger monks, he stopped measuring his success by their achievements. He no longer felt the weight of responsibility for their progress. Instead, he embraced the moments of teaching, sharing his knowledge with a sense of generosity and trust that the seeds he planted in their minds would grow in their own time. Through these practices, the monk realized that letting go did not mean passivity or giving up. It meant being fully engaged in each moment, investing his energy into the process without clinging to the outcomes. This shift brought him a profound sense of liberation. He no longer lived in anticipation of future rewards or weighed down by the fear of failure. In releasing his attachments, the monk found a life richer and more meaningful than he could have imagined, a life rooted in presence, free from the chains of expectation. and aligned with the natural flow of existence. The archer and the art of release. The young archer spent every waking hour practicing his craft. His mind was consumed by the need for perfection. Every time he drew his bow, he held his breath, his muscles tense, his focus unwavering. Yet, despite his intense dedication, his arrows often missed the bullseye. Each failure deepened his frustration, and he responded by training even harder, convinced that effort alone would bring success. One afternoon, as he was practicing in a quiet clearing, an old archer approached and observed silently. After a while, the elder spoke. "I see your passion, but your approach is flawed. You grip the bowstring too tightly, and your determination blinds you. Relax your grip, steady your breath, and let the arrow fly as if it already knows its path." The young archer was skeptical. How could relaxing possibly improve his aim? But desperation outweighed his doubts, and he decided to follow the advice. Tentatively, he loosened his grip, took a deep breath, and released the arrow. To his astonishment, it struck the center of the target. Curious and eager, he repeated the process, this time trusting his instincts rather than forcing precision. The results were consistent. His accuracy improved dramatically. The old archer smiled and said, "The secret to mastery is not in trying harder, but in letting go. Trust your skill and allow the process to unfold." This moment of revelation stayed with the young archer. He realized that his obsession with hitting the bullseye had been his greatest obstacle. By clinging to his desire for perfection, he had created unnecessary tension and resistance. When he surrendered his need for control, his body and mind aligned naturally, allowing him to perform at his best. Like the monk, the archer learned that clarity and precision arise not from force but from surrender and trust in the process. Trust the universe. The master's words lingered in the monk's mind long after their conversation. He began to reflect on the patterns of nature around him. The seasons changed without effort. Rivers flowed to their destinations without resistance, and the stars followed their paths across the sky with unwavering certainty. It became clear to him that the universe operated on its own rhythm, a rhythm far beyond human comprehension. Yet, doubt crept in. What if the rhythm of the universe doesn't align with my desires? The monk wondered. He shared his concerns with the master, who smiled gently and said, "Desires are like shadows. They shift with the light of your life. What you want now may not be what you need later. The universe often gives us not what we ask for, but what will help us grow." The monk began to see his struggles in a new light. What he had viewed as failures were, in truth, lessons guiding him toward greater understanding. The moments of frustration in his meditation practice, the challenges in his daily tasks, all served as reminders to trust the process rather than control it. Embracing this perspective, the monk started to let go of his need to predict or dictate outcomes. He focused instead on the actions within his control, trusting that the results would unfold as they should. Whether tending the temple garden, teaching younger monks, or simply sitting in meditation, he learned to do each with care and presence, leaving the rest to the flow of life. This trust in the universe brought him an unexpected peace. By releasing the weight of expectation, he felt lighter, freer, and more connected to the world around him. The monk realized that true harmony comes not from shaping the universe to fit his desires, but from aligning himself with its natural flow. The dance of life, in its essence, is like a beautifully choreographed dance. Each step, each movement, carries meaning and grace. A dancer does not rush to the final bow, nor do they fixate on the applause at the end. Instead, they immerse themselves fully in the rhythm, finding joy in each fleeting moment. Their trust in the music allows them to flow effortlessly, creating beauty through presence and harmony. The monk's journey echoes this truth. His struggle taught him that letting go is not a sign of giving up, but a profound act of trust. It means surrendering the need to control every detail and embracing the rhythm of life with clarity and patience. Letting go allows us to step into life's dance with open hearts and minds, unburdened by the weight of expectations. Success, like the perfect step in a dance, is not achieved through force but through alignment. When the farmer nurtures his soil, the rains come, When the archer steadies his breath, the arrow finds its mark. Similarly, when you focus on the process rather than the outcome, life unfolds naturally, often in ways more beautiful than you could have planned. So, dance with life, trust its rhythm, and let the joy of each step guide you forward. Letting go is not about surrendering to defeat, but stepping into a life of freedom, presence, and trust. It's about finding joy in the journey rather than fixating on the destination. Like the monk, we can discover that peace and fulfillment aren't prizes to be won. They're already within us, waiting to be uncovered when we release our grip on expectations and flow with life's rhythm. If this message spoke to your heart, join us on this path of growth and wisdom. Subscribe for more inspiring stories, and share your thoughts in the comments. Together, let's embrace the flow of life and uncover its endless possibilities.